Hello out there. My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. And here is my take for today, entitled, a question as a matter of fact, when is it democracy? Fallouts from party primaries and a glimmer of hope. A broadcast journalist asked one of the pro-democracy activists who fought hard in the mid to late 90s in this country if the democracy we are practicing in the country, especially since 1999, was what some of them suffered and went to jail for. The answer was insightful. He said, the military goons, the military juntas, who they fought and eventually sent packing, will be having a good laugh seeing what democracy has come to mean in Nigeria today, and for the most part of the Fourth Republic. Now, one of the former military heads of state had also told me privately earlier that when one of those who ended up becoming elected president in this Fourth Republic was being canvassed, he warned some of those behind the move that they will all regret it in the end. Now, because I know some of the players indeed, I can say that what the former military dictator said to me had a point. I'm not one to ever decorate military rule for anything, for it is an aberration. In fact, the deterioration and the decline that has happened to us as a people generally must be traced to that aberration of the military in power. But when would our politicians prove that they are better than those soldiers in power? When? We will continually advocate that the worst democratic government is better than any form of military rule. That is for sure. However, we should also aspire to be able to say that the civilians are better than the military when it comes to governance. When is it democracy? It's an important conversation, even at this time, as party primaries are wrapping up across the country. Look at what is happening to Desmond Elliott in Lagos. The young man labored so hard to get a traction from the grassroots, winning their confidence and trust in a show of true grassroots support. And while his godfather, the president's chief of staff, threw him under the bus, like journalists accurately described a few days ago, Elliott was still struggling to hold his own without responding in kind to the backhand from Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, just so close to the primaries. Yet, on the day of the primaries, Elliott had to cry out that his supporters were disallowed from participating in the election. He had alleged earlier that some among his backers who had government jobs were even being threatened. What about the many tales, including from establishment figures such as Senator Gbenga Daniel, who was an active collaborator in the past in demeaning the democracy of which we speak? Shouldn't those who seek equity come with clean hands? Now, even himself, that is His Excellency Daniel, he has become a victim. At the start of his own oppression, Daniel was raising his voice very loud, as if he was ready to do a democratic fight all the way to the contest for the senatorial seat against incumbent Governor Dapo Abiodun. But the sitting senator and former governor couldn't even carry the fight through as he had boasted. He was prevented, as it were. It's the experience that people like His Excellency Daniel had that produced the Western political philosophy behind the idea of the rule of law. So that while in and out of power, even influential people can be rest assured that once they line up behind the law, they will be fairly treated. Rule of law means, in and out of power, your only worry is not to break the law, regardless of whether you are in or out, regardless of whether those in power like your face or not. And it makes sense. And so I am delighted that at least one presidential aspirant is talking about this rule of law, that he will secure the rule of law in the country, and that is His Excellency Rotimi Amaechi. Now, if what is being speculated also about the president's disdain, quote unquote, for that, about the fallout of the APC primary is also true, then we must find some relief in that, especially because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has also often in the past talked about being a constitutional democrat, meaning that he also relies on the rule of law. But there are more examples of the fallouts. Take Senator Ned Nwoko in Delta State. Nwoko has been lamenting how he was undemocratically edged out by the powers that be in the state in favor of the former governor, Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa. Now, imagine that if people like Nwoko and people like Gbenga Daniel, a two-time governor of Ogun State, felt that they couldn't get a fair shake in a democratic contest for a senatorial seat they already occupy, what do you think happened to aspirants of humbler statuses in Nigeria? If they are harassing Nwoko and harassing Gbenga Daniel, what do you think is happening to the little people? Too many of those who wanted to aspire in the primaries, especially in the ruling APC, they paid for the forms, running to millions. But their hopes were dashed even before a proper democratic contestation in some cases. Tales of last-minute abracadabra of varying proportions and dimensions are all over the place. In Oyo State, Adebayo Adelabu, former CBN deputy governor and the immediate past minister of power in the federal government, is also currently in lamentation mode. And you will understand that with a rather curious primaries where some reports quoted that over 500,000 people for Senator Sharafa Ali, Adelabu's main rival in the APC Oyo Guba primaries, yet the whole registered members of APC for primaries in the state is said to be less than 200,000. Where did he get 500,000 votes? Now, let us be clear. We are not one to say these shenanigans are new in Nigeria's politics, especially in the last 2 decades. No, it is only becoming more exposed with the two options of consensus or direct primaries, which the law has now mandated. So APC is by no means the inventor of this undemocratic inter-party politics. In fact, APC inherits this behavior from PDP. But here is the glimmer of hope that APC may itself possibly cleanse itself because of the example of Lagos State, where you have a gubernatorial primary and a candidate emerge that people truly respect. Otherwise, we will have to knock harder with more righteous fury against APC, except for, like I said, what happened in Lagos State, which many people are proud to say is a process and a candidate that you can be proud of. We said it before, but let us say it again. It is this type of process that birthed the emergence of someone such as Dr. Kadri Obafemi Hamzat that we need more of in Nigeria. Someone who is tested, prepared, and ready, and a process that is open to all. Party primaries that offer the people such outcomes is possible in Nigeria, and the Lagos State Guba APC primary has shown us that fact. It gives us some hope. But there was a piece of news, as I conclude, circulating about the president a couple days ago. Let me quote it from Observer Times, an online platform. This is what they said, the president said. I am a constitutional Democrat. Yes, I gave the governors the privilege to coordinate and take charge of party affairs in their respective states. But I did not ask anyone to impose candidates indiscriminately. Unquote. Now, of course, that was not an official release, but I had wished that this statement was true because it offers us hope in the circumstances. Alas, the president spoke directly yesterday and very openly. This is what he said, and I'm quoting now a State House news release. Here, the president. On the conduct of the primaries across the states, President Bola Tinubu said, I am very satisfied that governors have done well in their various states, from the world congresses to the local government congresses to the delegate accreditation, validation, membership registration, and the certification of the electoral process. It has been done very well. And with this, you could rate democracy at a high level, unquote. What else can I say? If wishes were horses. And there you have it. Inside Sources goes full blast right after this. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I want to open the show with a conversation with the General Secretary of NADECO. For those of us who were around in the 90s, NADECO was the coalition that had a frontal confrontation with the militaries, especially right after the annulment of June 12 and especially during the reign of General Sani Abacha. Now, a few days ago, the General Secretary of NADECO, who is also the spokesman of NADECO, Chief Ayo Okpadokun, wrote a book that was entitled The NADECO Story, which gives, for the first time, very comprehensive details about what it is that happened at that time. He also hosted an event that was attended by such eminent Nigerians, such as Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, and then the Olubadan of Ibadan, and several other distinguished Nigerians, where honor was given to the people that fought military rule, at times with a lot of sacrifice, including those who passed. So I'd like to welcome to the show a returning guest. He has been on my show before, Chief Ayo Okpadokun. Chief Ayo Okpadokun was one of the closest aides of the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Chief Okpadokun, good to see you again on Inside Sources.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, but let me correct you once again. I've never accepted chieftaincy title of anybody. I want to remain an ordinary mister.
Okay.
Till God calls me home.
All right, sir.
So, I'm done with Ayo Okpadokun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I take that correction. It's just that we're just used to the fact that we also call you a NADECO chieftain. But your correction is well taken. Now,
thank you.
Yeah, I want us to start, with the background of what is currently going on in the country. It's election season again, and we see a lot of, fallouts, all kinds of games around the primaries, the issue of internal democracy. You see a lot of complaints of irregularities, rigging, and whatnot. It's all over the place, regardless of the political party. Now, I know that you have always made the argument that many of these things are happening the way they are happening because of military rule. So I'm going to read what you said on page 120 to commence that conversation around what is going on and the role of the military in it. I want to read from page 120 of your book, The NADECO Story. This is what you said. You said Abacha reportedly changed his mind on the issue of appointing civilian administrators after he had taken over in 1993. There was the talk that he will appoint civilian administrators, as a way to douse the tension. But you reported that Abacha changed his mind on this aspect after a crucial parley he held with senior and middle-level military men. Young officers showed open defiance at the first meeting of top military officers he held at Dodan Barracks, reportedly saying to his face that he, with his ambition, was the real problem of Nigeria. You reported that military officers, I guess the younger ones, they told Abacha to his face that it was Abacha's own ambition that was the problem of the country. Now, how do what's your take on what is happening today? Especially because your view had always been that the military, they are the main culprits to the kind of political culture that we develop, especially in the Fourth Republic. What's your take, sir?
Well, my reaction will be as to lay this following background to the entire show. The military violence overthrew the democratically elected government of Nigeria on January 15, 1966. While we pressured them to go back to the barracks, they went with their loots. And then, at the coming of Buhari on December 31st, 1984, he declared that out of all politicians were discredited. The first question to ask is, who discredited them? The military. The military were not trained to play politics. So the fundamental background to all the shenaniganism that you are witnessing today sprang from the fact that the military had not allowed democratization to flourish, to develop, and be consolidated. And there's no profession on earth that does not require training, tutelage, experience, and exposure. That's why the Nigerian army cannot ask a carpenter, go and drive an armored car. Neither can you ask a tailor to do a surgery on a sick person. The Nigerian political class was allowed by the Nigerian army for their selfish reason to learn on the job, to mature on the job, correct themselves, and for the purposes of self-enlightenment, compromise in order to bring about a matured, resilient, dependable political culture. That's the background to what you are saying today. Now, when Buhari detained most politicians and called them discredited, Babangida came, he himself said they were discredited. Then he said he was going to build his own. He called them new breed. And then he started banning and unbanning. And so what you are witnessing today in Nigeria scene, political scene, is military politics that they are playing. That was not what we used to know. Military politics, because they never had any training. They are ignorant, totally, abysmally ignorant, but foolishly very cocky, insisting on teaching what they don't know. That's what has brought us to where we are today. Now, a situation where Babangida asked us to go and form political parties. He sent us on a wild goose chase. Why? Many of us thought it was serious. Babangida already had in his own caucus, inner caucus, he sent them to Latin American countries and the Middle East to go and learn how the military despots in Latin America and Middle East were sitting down on their throne for long years, choreographing some sense of a charade called election to elect prime ministers who will be of their choice. And so among those people that he sent around were Colonel Tony Yam to go and learn those kind of tricks. So they never wanted to leave power. So they configured a political arrangement that would be like their own. And what they have done, for example, you remember that Babangida built 2 party secretariats all over the country at expensive prices, paying them, giving some kind of funny things that we never witnessed before. Either to, in Nigerian politics, if you're a party, a card-carrying member of the party, you go and attend your ward meeting, you go with your card, you pay your due, and it is entered. But they were using government money to finance political parties. That was part of the beginning of the undoing of this country. I can tell you, Laulu, that no governor of the Unity Party of Nigeria, for which I was a deputy director of organization, spent 10,000 naira of his own money to become a governor. You know how much it costs now? Even to be a councillor. That's part of the charade. And you know, Abacha, when Abacha came, he wanted to transmit. So he was nominated. The day he was going to be nominated, as the sole candidate of all the 5 political parties, he passed on. Just that before that weekend.
Okay. All right.
So that's the problem that we have today. Nigeria politics is not about it's ideologically void. You don't need to have any credibility. All that you need, first of all, is to go and see how you can break into bank vault, even if it is a central bank. Go and steal as much money as you can steal, so that you can bribe the men of your party to nominate to elect you. Go and bribe the electoral officers and the electorate. Go and bribe the security agencies, and finally, you must go and find a way to bribe the judges, so that you can be finally pronounced as the winner. Because then you have the key to the store of the state or the country.
Very, very, very compelling, you know, what you're talking about, Mr. Okpadokun, because, you know, we are witnessing, even today as we speak, the trial of a former central bank governor, you know, who was actually going to run for president. And now we are seeing all the kinds of how much money had been misappropriated, just to back what you have said. But my follow-up question, Elder, is that in your own view, how do we get out of this situation? I mean, we have had democracy or civil rule now since 1999 up until today. By the end of this month, we will have 27 years of unbroken civilian rule. And we are still hearing all kinds of things, you know, happening in the primaries, all kinds of shenanigans. Even people like Benga Daniel, who was a governor, is complaining. People like Ned Nwoko, they are complaining. People like Adebayo Adelabu, who was former central bank deputy governor, and you are talking about central bank, who actually is an immediate past minister for power, they are all complaining that they've been mistreated, they were not allowed, it was rigging, it's all over the place. How long, Elder, is this going to happen? How long are we going to blame the military, in your view, sir? Or what's the way out?
What the military sow is what we are reaping. We must come to that reality. That reality must accept that reality. Then you are asking as to what you can do. I believe that we are not ready. The Nigerian state is not ready to change course. Because, you know, during the Nadeko days, sometimes we got to some of these embassies, they ask us, what will the Nigerian government do that to bring people out to go and defend their rights? We never had any serious response to that question, because the Nigerian goat, if it's pushed to the wall, he will be looking for a way to dig a hole around that wall, not bouncing back.
Wow.
Most of the characters in politics today were their surrogates, acolytes, confederates, sympathizers, loyalists, who never knew anything about the democracy and its features. In any case, we secured Nigeria independence on a federal constitutional arrangement. And we were practicing parliamentary system, Westminster system, which really remained very responsible, significantly responsive also unlike the presidential system of government that was foisted upon us by Murtala Mohammed government and Obasanjo, which is irresponsible and irresponsive. You know, when a prime minister who is just primus inter pares is seated along with other legislatures in the cabinet, matters that happen in different various constituencies could be brought to bear and they will be dealt with immediately. But you don't see the president goes to the parliament to lay down his budget every year. Many legislators may not see the president or the governor again throughout their tenure. So there is no responsibility. And then they cannot be responsive to the yearning and aspiration of the people as it wants to be. For us to change, for us to do something, Nigerians must take the bull by the horn. What I witnessed today is not the kind of thing that people like us were tutored upon. Our tutelage was on serious-minded, decent, responsible party politicking. Not what we have today. Everything is about money. Everything is about power. And people are willing to even kill each other or themselves in order for them to assist to power.
Very interesting. So, in your view, this will continue until the Nigerian people decide, or the Nigerian state, that's your argument, that the Nigerian state is the one that can push it back.
Yes.
Yeah, because, and it goes to my next question, some of the dramatic things that happened during the Nadeko days was recorded on page 216 of your book. And I'm going to read just a portion and then frame a question, that will take the conversation forward.
Right.
It says on page 216, right. It says that, talking about Radio Freedom Radio that later became Radio Kudira. It said it was designed and ran as a guerrilla radio station. The station operated in a way to prevent detection by the government. Sometimes its transmitter, this is on page 216, very interesting. Sometimes the transmitter of this Radio Freedom rested in the boot of a mobile car parked in the most daring places, including opposite the maximally guarded federal-run Radio Nigeria in Ikoyi, Lagos. In particular, a Lagos prince and senator not only took risks to source news, they also transported the FM radio transmitter in their car from one location to another after sunset. Each time, the intelligence, that's the military intelligence and security operatives, tried to jam the frequency with high-tech counter transmitters, or the station came in danger of being located. These men usually moved one step ahead. The station's evasiveness proved frustrating to the government. This is my point, Elder. So during the military, we had this kind of resilience by the Nigerian people to say that, no, we don't want the military. And people went to great extents, such as yourself, such as Professor Wole Soyinka, such as Chief Anthony Enahoro, to say no. Why is it difficult for Nigerians to organize themselves now that we have a democracy? In your view, sir, we have a democracy. When we had the military, we had this kind of very deep-seated, well-organized resistance. Now that we have a democracy, why did we go to sleep, Elder?
Okay, Laulu, may I say to you, disappointingly, that you don't have a democracy. What you have is a civilian government. And I've just said to you a while ago, I'm repeating, 99% of those people in politics today were agents, surrogates.
I agree with you. Elder, my point is that
of the military.
No, I agree with you. My point is that
no, when
We fought those people. Why is it difficult to fight these so-called civilians, politicians? Why is it difficult for us to fight them? That's my point, sir.
The point, you see, you only fight them if that, you see, amongst few of our colleagues, that's what just about 1% of them have found themselves in government. And one way or the other, perhaps they are just they are carrying on along, torturing on along with these military agents who are now politicians. They cannot commit suicide by doing anything against the system that takes them to get rich quickly and to be in position where they never could have imagined themselves to be. So they cannot really take, on their own, decide to confront this system. It will take a deliberate act of somebody who is in power, who wants to leave a name, a legacy, to decide to restore Nigeria to the path of sanity politically.
Okay.
I wish I know what is in the mind of President Bola Tinubu. For me, one thing that I thought and prayed that he will do is that if perhaps in the miasma of this their second time in Burugilo, that if it is destined to be so, that he win the second time, I just want to hope that he will be conscious enough of what his legacy could be. And the only legacy that he could leave, perhaps to me, is not the amount of money that he leaves behind. It is the fact that Nigeria is structurally restored. We return to federal constitutional governance, a parliamentary system where it will not afford anybody to dominate the other person. As from that day, Nigeria can take their destiny into their hands. Okay. Today, what we have is not democratic in any sense, and that's the reason why some of us thought that perhaps we should not participate in Absalami transition program. You know, they never had any constitution. They never saw any constitution until the day that Obasanjo was sworn in. The fact of the matter is this: a situation where a part of the country had considered themselves to be the owner of the country, that the rest of us were onlookers, and they carried that thing to the extent of describing themselves as godly given the right to rule and govern. Now, it will be difficult for President Bola Tinubu getting to power to won't attempt at changing that course, what they've been doing for over 60 years. I just hope. I don't know whether it is true or not. Well, what I'm saying is in his mind. I believe that he's coursing on together for him to win the second time, so that he can do the right thing. I just hope that perhaps that's what he's doing. Okay,
sir. Thank you so much, Eda Ayokpadokun, because, you know, just calling you ordinary mister doesn't pay you the kind of respect that you deserve. And this book that you have done is an outstanding work. I mean, being a student of history myself, I find it to be so precise, so comprehensive, that if I had my way, this should be, it should form the basis of part of our history, especially regarding what happened in those early days of the military. And thank you also for recognizing and honoring quite a number. I was at the event with you on Wednesday in Lagos, recognizing quite a number of the people who stood up and fought the military. It was important assignment that you did to say that we still remember them. Thank you so much. I give you another minute to make a last word.
Thank you very much, Laulu, and I want to be to express my gratitude to you to be one of the two moderators that at that event. It was a thing that a job, a business that ought to have been done for long by those who have governed us. But you remember that of all those who have governed Nigeria since the Fourth Republic, only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not sponsored by the military. The remaining, the rest was sponsored by their agents. Remember how Obasanjo came in? It was the project of the Lieutenant General Ali Guzo and Babangida. And Obasanjo decided on Yaradua. He knew that the man was fatally, medically not okay. And you know the rest of the story.
Yes.
And because we pushed them again to the barracks, another general took over. So we have never had Democrats governing Nigeria. So all these years we have been talking about had been governed by them. This is the first time that somebody who was not sponsored by them is in power.
Okay.
And they're unleashing terror. I believe they are unleashing terror on him. He himself is in a difficult position. Perhaps because I know he's a street-wise guy. He probably will be able to weather the storm. Let's explain the game that they have been playing. Perhaps out of which might be something better will result.
Okay.
I want to thank you for coming. You know, I had to do what we did. Nadeko had to do what we did because while the thing was on, most of these characters now who are politicians were hands in glove with the military. So few of our people who are activists, who are journalists, who really carry the story of Nadeko activities are the greatest risk to their lives. They ought to be recognized.
Yeah.
The funders ought to be recognized. The diplomatic missions that supported us ought to be recognized. That was what we did on May 20 at the Muson Center. And I thank you for honoring us with your presence. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ayo Okpadokun. Thank you for all you do. And I share your hope that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to help us to move Nigeria in the direction that we all expect. Thank you so much for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you.
All right. There you have it. I'm going to go to a second segment where I'm going to be speaking with John Cardinal Onoyekon on the state of the nation. Don't go away. Welcome back to Inside Sources. In this segment, I'm going to be having a conversation with John Cardinal Onoyekon, Emeritus Archbishop of the Catholic Church in Abuja, who is also a member of the National Peace Committee. Clearly, one of Nigeria's voices of conscience. I'd like to welcome back to Inside Sources Archbishop Onoyekon. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for what you do. Especially, I know that you have just come back from Ekiti State, where the National Peace Committee had an intervention. We're going to come to that. But I want you to give us your own view. This month is going to be 3 years of the Tinubu administration. How do you assess them?
Well, we can say so far, so good. We've had three years, and we are still surviving. By this, I mean that a lot has happened to bring the country on its knees. But we are still surviving. Some would say because of the resilience of the Nigerian people who are able to adjust and adjust. Seems to have no limit to their elasticity of adjustment. But But 3 years has gone. We still have 1 more year. If we look back on these 3 years, I'm not the only one saying it. Most Nigerians are saying the 8 years of Murtala Mohammed,
You mean
of
Buhari?
Buhari, the 8 years of Muhammadu Buhari were, some call it a disaster, because the country was moved down and down and down. There were those who thought that with Tinubu new government, we would have a marked improvement in the various parameters of the well-being of Nigerians. And even the campaign slogan of Tinubu was hinged on the famous renewed hope agenda. Where they speak of renewed hope, it must be that they are aware that our hope was already going down, needed to be renewed. There are probably some Nigerians who have been very happy with the last 3 years, who have done very well under these last 3 years, who've made good money, who have every reason to be happy with the government. Especially if they are in government or in the corridors or margins of government. But the vast majority of the Nigerians that I meet are not only the poor people who are always suffering, but even the former middle class who normally should be comfortable. What I'm hearing is a litany of woes. And I do know that at least 2 years, a year ago, after second year, this government said, yes, they are hearing the complaints of Nigerians. Our president even spoke about that he feels their pains. So the government
is not unaware.
Is not unaware that we are under pains. The only thing they are saying is that we should be patient. You should bear it. That is like when you go for a surgery, the surgery always ends up with some bit of pain. At the end, you come out well. It's 3 years now. We are still waiting. And if we are to be sincere, we are not seeing any light at the end of the tunnel. Especially in the 3 major challenges that this government actually took on as what they will deal with head on. I still remember it very clearly because every Nigerian knows it. Security, corruption, economy.
That was set up by the Buhari administration.
But
and it's the same party.
President Tinubu said he was going to continue.
Yeah. He even said that it's Buhari. Actually, he said recently that if you see him, you are seeing Buhari.
Of course.
So it's a fair thing.
We all knew that President Tinubu was part of the Buhari administration. He was even called the party leader in those. He had the title in those.
That's true.
So when we look at security, I am sure the government knows that we have an intolerable level of insecurity in the land. As for corruption, it's not even the corruption of the dishonest that worries me. People who steal government money because of their greed. But we have a system that has allowed a lot of legal stealing to go on.
Wow.
And when the stealing is legal, people don't feel that they are doing anything wrong. With all due respect to all our brothers, my friends in the National Assembly, in the present economic situation in Nigeria, the kind of remuneration that the members of the National Assembly are taking home every month is legal stealing. They are taking more than they deserve. I'm not even talking now about the executive, how they remunerate ministers, special assistants, senior special assistants. The distance, the difference between what these people take from our national resources and how much is being made available to the ordinary Nigerians is too much. We have quarreled a lot, finally, that we have a minimum wage of 970 naira. I'm sure everybody up there knows very well that 70 naira is not a living wage for any family in Nigeria. It doesn't fill my tank of my small car. When we look at things like this, and we are not seeing any sign that the government is doing much to tackle them, one is very much in despair. 3 years have gone. We should not forget that we elected this government for a term of 4 years. In Nigeria now, we have to keep reminding our politicians that you go to election for a 4-year term, not for an 8-year term. If you follow what we are seeing around, practically every people in power presume that they must have a second term. And it's as if after first term you do not continue, it must be you have failed. But strictly speaking, when we elected them for 4 years. I'm stressing this because you are reminding us that this government has spent 3 years. So they finished 3 years out of the 4 years during which they are supposed to do what they
promise.
What they're supposed to do. They cannot tell us that we should wait till the next 4 years because we did not elect them for 8 years. And therefore, they should not be angry with people like me who judge their performance on the basis of this 4-year parameter. If at the end of the 4th year, we are not yet out of insecurity, our economy has not improved, and the third one, corruption, still all over. We have every right to say that you have failed.
Okay.
And I don't think they have any right to ask us to bring them back again for another 4 years. How would they show us that what they didn't finish in the last 4 years, they will do it in the next 4 years?
Very important point, but I'm going to ask you that. So, do you, in your own view, have we seen a clearly articulated different set of ideas from the opposition?
It's easy enough to complain about things not going well because we all feel it.
Yeah.
That is easy enough.
Yes.
And a lot of the opposition are doing exactly that. But what is more important is to come out with a guideline as to how we are going to do things
differently. That's what I was asking you.
Because if you don't do things differently, you can't expect results to be different.
Okay.
Now, I don't know. I've been listening to the so-called opposition parties. Let us say the parties that are not in government. They have been coming out with ideas. They have been probably addressing certain decisions that government has taken, which they believe is not correct, not helping Nigeria. For example, like all of us are complaining about this opaque and these opaque loans that we are taking. Opaque, by opaque I mean we can't see what's all about. What it's all about. We are hearing that some of those loans are signed with when you take it from the Chinese, it is written in Chinese, and you're probably not too sure what you are signing.
I'm sure they have
it's as bad as that.
Interesting.
So, but it's not enough to complain like the rest of us are complaining. Any group who wants us to vote for them in the next, after 1 year, the next opportunity that Nigerians will have
to decide,
to assess what has happened, should please give us a clear roadmap.
Okay, all right.
Now, there are many political parties, so they are probably not going to have the same ideas. We shall watch them,
okay,
and see which seems to be more realistic, which seems to be clearer, and which seems to be, when I say realistic, is that we don't want people promising to bring us paradise overnight. They must tell us how they are going to achieve what they want to achieve.
All right.
And I don't know, it's not enough for a group of people to say we have to change this government. If all you are going to do is to take over their seats.
Because continue the same thing.
You can continue the same thing. You have to tell us why you should change. Otherwise, if that's all you have, then I'm not even interested in voting.
Interesting point. I wanted to ask you about the situation in Ekiti. You know, as a member of the National Peace Committee, a few days ago, you went there to assess the situation as they are going to election. How do you, can you give us an update about how that went?
Before that, let me say something that my friend, Bishop Kuka, doesn't want me to say.
Interesting. Please go ahead.
Namely, we started this National Peace Committee. We were about 20 of us.
Chaired by General Abdul Salami.
And we have been going through this ritual of signing peace accords at every opportunity, whenever there's any election, whether the normal ones or the off-cycle ones. But there has been a consistent dwindling of participation of the members.
Of the Peace Committee?
Committee.
Oh, wow.
You asked about Ekiti. We are only 3 of us there.
Out of the 20?
Out of the 20.
That would be you,
No,
Kuka?
start first. That would be Kuka.
Okay. Kuka, yourself?
Kuka, myself, and General Agwai.
Okay.
General
Abdul Salami
regretted his inability to come with us. He wanted to come with us, but he had health challenges, and he couldn't come with us. But General Agwai stood in for him. But the point I'm making is this.
But you are sure that he is still very actively involved?
Obviously, he's the one who asked us to prepare for this.
Okay. Excellent.
The point I'm trying to make is some of us are not, those who are no longer coming to attend this. It might be that they don't find it anymore.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think is responsible for the dwindling interest?
They just feel it's not worth the trouble. But the reason why it's not worth the trouble is that every time you go through the ritual, the politicians sign the accord, carry the Bible, and that's it. And then they go ahead and do the exact opposite.
Oh my God.
And then you wonder, do you continue this?
That must be frustrating, I can imagine.
The only reason why I went is that I am an incorrigible optimist. I refuse to give up on Nigeria.
Yeah.
And I went there and said, let me at least go there and tell them, this wonderful accord you are signing is before God and with people of Nigeria. Make sure you abide by it.
Excellent.
Now, coming to Ekiti, and a high level of participation was there. Not as bad as the NPC itself, because Professor Mokpito was there in person.
The ANEC chairman.
The ANEC chairman. The IG Disu. Disu.
Yeah.
That is his name, isn't it?
Yes, Tuji Disu.
Tuji Disu. He was there. That the Inspector General of Police was there.
That was good.
It was good enough. Therefore, that means INEC and the securities, they took this thing seriously. And they all came out and read very beautiful statements. Everybody saying what do you call it?
The accord?
Accord should not be simply a ritual. That we must mean what we are saying. They all said it, and in a democracy, the people are crucial. Okay. And in a democracy, elections then are very, very important. Therefore, we cannot afford to mess up our election. If you do, you've messed up our democracy.
Okay.
And I reminded everybody that we are looking for free, fair, credible election. And I say, I am aware that the government in power, and especially the incumbent government, has a major challenge how to reconcile his position as the power in the nation be with his position during the election as a candidate like every other candidate.
Okay.
And that the governor he should use his power of incumbency to ensure level playing ground for everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It also means that the government agencies that are meant to ensure free and fair election must work for the people, not for the government in power, even if they have been appointed by the government in power. That is the dilemma we have in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much, John Cardinal Oleyekun, Emeritus Archbishop of Abuja.
Well, we are sure that there will be peace in Ekiti State, and I believe there will be.
Me too.
Because, strictly speaking, it doesn't seem as if there is any challenge.
So any serious contention there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your views. Thank you for your voice in this country. And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you very much, Laolu, for inviting me.
All right, sir.
May God bless you and bless our nation.
Amen.
We really want a good election 2020. Bad election has consequence.
I agree with you, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means Nigeria will win because, in part, we will keep talking about important issues. My name is Laolu Akonde. Thank you for watching. And by the grace of God, I'll see you again on Friday.